Hello, I'm Sasha. I'm so excited today to be testing out new products from Honest Beauty. They recently came out with a tinted moisturizer, an eyebrow pencil, and some powder blushes, so I wanted to test these out today along with a full face of other Honest Beauty products. So let's get right into it. To get started, I have the CCC Clean Corrective with Vitamin C. This is a tinted moisturizer with broad spectrum SPF 30. So today I have the fair shade. This is actually the lightest shade that they have. I'm going to go ahead and test a little bit on the back of my hand here. They say it's supposed to be for fair skin tones with cool to neutral undertones. Okay, wow, this actually looks quite dark on my hand. This is much darker than I'd expect for a fair shade. This actually looks more like a light shade. I'm going to go ahead and rub it out. I'm hopeful that this will be a good match once it's on my face, but let's go ahead and test it out. Now I'm just going to sort of dot this on my face. It seems like a really nice creamy formula. Definitely has that kind of nice lotion tinted moisturizer feel. The color seems to be melding with my skin a little bit better as I rub it in. I'm gonna use a little bit more product. This is a pretty lightweight formula. It actually feels really nice on my skin. I have another video where I tested out their cream foundation and I really didn't like that one very much. So I was really excited to see that they were re-releasing their tinted moisturizer. It seems to have really clean ingredients, and I especially like that it has mineral sunscreens from titanium dioxide and zinc. This is sort of supposed to be an all-in-one product that primes, corrects your skin tone, and has SPF in it. If this one works well for me, it would be so nice because it would really simplify my life in the morning. Okay, now that I've got it all rubbed in, I try to take it down my neck a little bit. I don't feel like it's a great match for my skin tone. I feel like it's a little bit too dark still. I really like the way that it sits on the skin. It feels really nice and hydrating, kind of like a good moisturizer. Has a bit of a silkiness to it, kind of like a good SPF. Right now it doesn't look like it's sinking into any lines or clinging to any dry patches. The only complaint I have right now is that it's just a little too dark for me. Alright, so moving on, I do want to do a little bit of color correction under my eyes here. For concealer today, I'm going to be using the Glow Skin & Beauty Under Eye Concealer in beige. I'm going to be using this side, which is the peach side. Honest Beauty doesn't currently have color correcting products, so I'm just going to go ahead and use this one. I'm just going to kind of pat it in. The peach in this helps to correct any dark kind of purple circles under my eyes. Glow Skin & Beauty is also cruelty-free and a more natural brand, so I really enjoyed using this corrector from them because it just works really well and has good ingredients. Now I'm going to use a little bit of this Bare Minerals Primetime Eyelid Primer. Honest Beauty also doesn't have an eyelid primer right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and pat this one on. I like to just sort of cover up the eye area anywhere where I'm going to put on eyeshadow. Now I'm going to use some of this Honest Beauty Luminizing Glow Powder in Midnight Reflection. This is a beautiful sort of light champagne shade. I'm going to rub this under the eyes just to sort of brighten and give it a little bit of illumination. You can use something like a setting powder here as well. I just like to use some sort of powder product under the eyes to set that cream concealer and make sure nothing's going to budge throughout the day. This one is also really pretty kind of as a subtle highlighter. I've been enjoying using it recently because it's very gentle and just kind of adds a nice little sheen. Now this one has sat on my face a bit, I feel like it's actually getting a little bit closer to a fair shade. I'm not quite sure if it's just kind of the way it reacts with your skin over time, but it feels like it might be one of those that just takes a couple minutes to kind of settle on the right shade. For eyeshadow today, I'm going to be using the Honest Beauty Get It Together eyeshadow palette. This is a really beautiful eyeshadow palette with 10 different shades. I also love that this one is talc free and it's only $20. Sometimes you can even find it on Amazon for even less. Here are the swatches for this eyeshadow palette. There's a nice range from light to dark tones. This palette focuses primarily on neutral shades, with an emphasis on mauve, brown, and bronzy tones. There are several matte shades, some with a little sparkle, and some that are just nice subtle shimmers. If you've been enjoying this video, please like or consider subscribing. I post new beauty videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 10 a.m. Central, and I'd love to see you there. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you can be the first to watch my new videos. So in my last video with this, I did kind of a softer mauve toned eye. I'll go ahead and link that video below. Today, I think I'm going to focus on these brown tones and this beautiful bronzy gold as well. So I'm going to start with this light brown shade here called Soft Bronze. I'm just going to take a little bit on this fluffy brush and kind of work it into the crease. This is a pretty heavily pigmented shade, so I'm going to try and blend it out really well. I just kind of want to use this as a base shade and do the same thing on the other eye. Just sort of start with a nice soft layer of this brown, work it up into the crease and along most of the lid. I'm trying not to go all the way to the inner corner of the lid. I want to leave that bare for a highlight later. Now that we've got a nice soft base, I want to use a little of this shade here called Gilded Mauve. I'm going to work it on the outer edge of the eyelid here. just to sort of give a little bit of definition. I'm not quite sure why they call this Gilded Mauve. It really feels more like a brown shade to me. Now I'm going to take my finger into Sunlit Copper here. It's got a little bit of sparkle to it. I'm just going to press that color in on the outer edge of my eyelid here. Do the same thing on the other side. This is a highly pigmented shade, so you really don't need that much of it. Now I'll just go ahead and blend that in with this pencil brush, kind of working it up into the crease a little bit just to add a little more definition. I'm going to blend out those edges with this soft, fluffy blending brush too. Next I'm going to use some of this Pacifica Cherry Matte Setting Spray. I just like to spray this on my hand. Dip my finger into the setting spray. Then I'm going to dip the finger into Strobe Champagne here and press that shimmery eyeshadow onto the eyelid. I like to use setting spray because it helps the glitter stick a lot better. I love how a setting spray helps the color come out more bold. Then it also helps all those kind of glitter particles stick better so they aren't falling all over the place. Now I'm just going to blend out those edges with my blending brush. This is a really beautiful bronze tone. It's got a bit of warmth to it, which I think is really nice. Now I'm going to dip my finger into this shade here called Iced Cotton. It's a really beautiful kind of soft pink shimmer. I'm just going to pat that color in near the inner corner of my eye. Now I'm just going to work it into this Strobe Champagne kind of gold tone that we already have. This is a really beautiful inner corner highlight. It's just that nice kind of light and bright pop. I just want to add a tiny bit more definition to this outer corner of the eye, so I'm going to use this shade here called Burnt Mocha. Just going to take a little on this pencil brush and tap it in near the edge. I don't want too much, but just enough to give a little more definition. Kind of work it outwards onto this sort of hooded part of my brow bone. Now I'm going to blend that all together once more with this fluffy blending brush, just to soften all those edges and make it look nice and subtle. Now I want to do a similar look on the lower lash line. To start, I'm going to use some of this nice kind of medium brown called Soft Bronze. Just take it on this little smudge brush, kind of work it in from the outer corner to about the midway point under the lash line. Now I'm just going to take a tiny bit of this deeper shade here called Gilded Mauve, kind of work it near the edge of the lower lash line there. Kind of want to make it so it meets the upper eyeshadow there. Now I'm going to take the same Pacifica setting spray and spray the brush. I'm going to dip the wet brush into Strobe Champagne here and pat that nice shimmer gold shade under the lash line. I'm focusing this right on the center of the lower lash line. Now I'm going to spray my brush again and dip the other side of this brush into Iced Cotton and then just sort of press that in near the inner corner area. I want to give a nice little highlight there as well. I want to kind of blend out that edge so it meets the golden shade in a really nice kind of subtle way. Now I'm going to use the Honest Beauty Extreme Length Mascara and Lash Primer. This is actually a dual-ended product. This side is the lash primer, and this side is the mascara. So first I'm going to use the lash primer. I'm going to do this only on the upper lashes this time. I don't want the bottom ones to be too crazy bold. So you're supposed to apply this and then just let it dry for about 30 seconds. I've really been enjoying using this mascara. You don't have to use the primer with it, especially if you're in a hurry. It also works really well without it. But I think that primer just adds a nice kind of volumizing effect, while the mascara itself is especially good at kind of that lengthening. So now I'm just going to wait about 30 seconds for this to dry. While we're waiting, I'm going to test this new Honest Beauty eyebrow pencil. So this eyebrow pencil actually comes in two shades. This one is brown, which is supposed to be for cool blondes or cool brunettes. They also have the shade taupe, which is supposed to be for warm blondes or warm brunettes. It's a dual-ended pencil that has a spoolie on the end, so I'm going to go ahead and brush that through my brows. I was really excited to see that they had a brow pencil. Last time I checked, they didn't have any brow products. I tend to be more in the cool tones, so I'm really hoping that this one won't be too dark. This does seem a little bit darker than like a blonde eyebrow pencil, but the tone itself is pretty good. Since this is going on a little dark, I'm going to brush it out to kind of soften it a little bit. I don't know if I'd recommend this tone in particular, especially if you're light blonde. I'd be curious to see if the taupe shade is any better. This one seems a little dark on me. I probably recommend it if your brows are naturally darker or if you have kind of like light brown hair, but for me it just feels a little too dark. Now that my mascara is dry, I'm going to go ahead and apply the mascara. Here's how the wand looks. It's a nice long kind of silicone wand. I really like the shape of this wand because it's really easy to get in, especially to define your lashes. It's nice how it's narrow because it makes it a lot easier to get in on the tops of your lashes or on the ends. I'm gonna do the other side. I'm just gonna take the brush vertically to get in on those lower lashes. I just like to give them a touch of mascara. I really like this brush in particular for the lower lashes. I feel like I never get too much. Things are looking a tiny bit clumpy, so I'm just gonna use this little lash comb here. For blush today, I'm using their new lip powder blush. First I have the shade Flirty, which is a peachy coral with gold shimmer. Next I have the shade Frisky, which they call a peachy pink with gold shimmer. To me this one looks like it almost has a bit of a red tone to it. Here's how they look blended out a bit. This one is Flirty and this one is Frisky. Since I have more kind of bronze and brown tones in my eye look today, I'm going to try Frisky. It seems to be pretty highly pigmented, so I'm just going to take a little bit on this blush brush. They call this a luminizing blush, so they recommend using it instead of highlighter. It's got a bit of shimmer to it. This actually came out pretty strong on this side. I'm gonna buff it out and see if I can soften it a bit. This one does seem to be coming out a little bit more red on me. I thought it was gonna be a little bit more of a peach shade, but I think it does lean a little bit more into those kind of reddish tones. I'm gonna try it with a warmer toned lip and see if we can pull this whole look together. So today I have the Honest Beauty Tinted Lip Balm in the shade Fruit Punch. This one is kind of a warm, creamy coral shade. I'm gonna go ahead and apply this and see if it'll work with this blush color. My natural tones tend to skew more towards cool, so whenever I wear like a lot of warm tones, I have to tie everything together, like with the blush, the eyes, and the lips, all kind of in that same warm color family. Kind of trying to build this up a bit so I get enough of that color coming through. I definitely like this Fruit Punch lip balm with this eye look. I feel like it works well with the warm tones in the eyeshadow and also with the reddish tones in the blush. Now that everything's settled, I think I can add a tiny bit more blush, so I'm just gonna go back into Frisky here. I only want to use a tiny bit because it is pretty highly pigmented. Overall, I think these two tones go really well together in this Frisky blush and this Fruit Punch Tinted Lip Balm. So that's it for the look. Now I'm just going to quickly review the new products. I really did enjoy trying out this new Tinted Moisturizer. They say it has a luminous finish. It's not like particularly shiny or glowy, but I felt like it had a nice kind of hydrated feel to it after I applied it. I was actually kind of surprised at how dark this came out when I first started, but it seems like after it settled a bit, the shade is a lot closer to my natural skin tone and is much more of the true fair that I was expecting. I do think that the product has been absorbed a bit. I'd be really curious to see how it wears throughout the day. I'll go ahead and post a wear test right after this. Hey, it's Sasha. It's about 2 p.m. right now and I'm about to start my wear test. I've just applied this tinted moisturizer. It seems to be matching my neck nicely, so I think this shade is kind of settled on what it's supposed to be. The formula seems to be sitting really well on my skin and everything looks really fresh right now. So I'm going to try and wear this for about 8 hours or longer and I'll check back in with you at the end of the day. See you soon! Hi, I'm back. It's been about 8 hours since I put on this tinted moisturizer. Overall, I'm really happy with how it wore. I can still feel it a little bit on my skin and I can still see some pigment there. The only issues I saw was that it kind of clung to a couple dry patches sort of on my forehead and near my nose. I think this is more of a skincare issue for me as opposed to something with the actual tinted moisturizer or foundation. So overall, I'm really happy with the performance of this and I felt like it had some real staying power. Overall, I'm really happy to see that Honest Beauty released a tinted moisturizer with mineral SPF. This is definitely something that I could wear on an everyday basis because the ingredients are so clean and it's a mineral-based sunscreen. I don't know if I'd apply this right before I run out the door because it does take a couple minutes to settle. At $22, I do feel like this is a pretty good value, especially because it can replace something like a sunscreen and a tinted moisturizer at the same time. However, I would like to see them expand their shade range because they currently only have 4. If you're looking for a more affordable tinted moisturizer that can also serve as a mineral SPF, this is definitely worth a look. Next we have the eyebrow pencil. This one was in the shade brown. I did feel like it was a little bit dark for me, but I did like that it was kind of a cool toned color. I'd be curious to try the taupe pencil to see if it's a better match for blondes, but it might also be kind of that in-between blonde brunette color as well. I did really like how creamy the formula is. It does have a bit of waxiness, so that gives it some staying power. I also really like how they have the spoolie on the one end. It makes it really nice and convenient because you can just brush it out right then and there to give you a more natural look. I'm also a big fan of the fact that this is a normal pencil that you can sharpen. This only costs $10 and you can actually use the whole pencil. Some of the modern twist-up products like this kind of brow pencil tend to wear out really quickly because there's just so little product for every brow pencil you buy. So for $10, I do think this is a good value, especially if the shade is a good match for you. I'd love to see them expand into some other shades like a lighter blonde, an auburn, and maybe a dark brown as well. Next we have the lip powder blushes. The one I'm wearing right now is this reddish tone here called Frisky. This came out a lot more bold than I was expecting. I feel like, especially if you have lighter skin, you probably want to use a light hand with these. It's nice because it makes them last a long time, but you do have to be a little bit careful not to apply too much. I'm really happy to see that these are a talc-free pressed powder formula. It's really hard to find these in a more affordable price range. At only $12.99, I feel like these are a really good value, especially because with the high pigmentation, they'll last a long time. They do call these an illuminating powder blush. I didn't actually end up using enough to see a lot of the illuminating effect, but I do feel like it has a bit of a nice sheen to it. It's not overly chunky or glittery, it's just a really nice kind of soft sheen. I love using talc-free powder blushes. They seem to be one of the safest options for me and they don't tend to break me out. These blushes come in 4 different shades. There's also kind of a nude and a mauve tone as well. I highly recommend checking these out, especially because they are affordable, talc-free, and have high pigmentation. Before I go, I just wanted to give an honorable mention to some other products. This Get It Together eyeshadow palette remains one of my favorites. It's talc-free, it has a lot of really great neutral shades, and it has a very modern kind of feel to it. You have these warm bronzy tones and also beautiful soft mauves. At only $20, this is a fantastic value for a talc-free palette. If you're in the market for neutral eyeshadows, I highly recommend checking this one out. I also continue to enjoy this lash primer and mascara and these tinted lip balms as well. I find myself reaching for them in my everyday makeup looks, especially because they have very gentle ingredients and they always seem to work well with my skin. I hope you found this video helpful. I'd love to hear what your favorite foundation product is, whether it's a tinted moisturizer, a high coverage foundation, or nothing at all. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.